Good day, everyone. Have you ever been in a position like this, where you just have a rook and your opponent has pawns and he's trying to promote them and make a queen and then win the game? Most likely, you were in an endgame like this one and you panic and you start giving some checks and things got out of control and you lost a drawing endgame. Now, this endgame is a draw, but it's up to you to first find the winning move, or the move that actually gets you a draw, which is a win in a very not good position. So you have to pause the video to try to find the best move for white to get the draw. Because if you play the wrong move, it will lead to a loss in the end game, and he will manage to make a queen, possibly two queens, and completely obliterate the position. Okay, hopefully you pause the video. Now, of course, it is not playing the most intuitive move right away, which is, rook g2 check. Because whenever we are in a position like this, we try, we're cooked, we cannot stop the pawns, so we start giving checks in hopes that we're going to get a perpetual check and we're going to get a draw. But after rook g2, the problem with this one, he can go king to b3. That's not a brilliant move, but for some reason, it's something. Okay. Now after this move, we really can't do anything. We can go rook g1, but then he can push the other pawn, trying to make a queen. We cannot stop two passers like this. They are defending each other, which is impossible to deal with. You can play this check. He can go back here. You can't do much. You can put the king closer to a4, trying to give this check, but he can make a queen. It doesn't matter. You give him a check. He goes here. You sacrifice. He makes a queen. It doesn't matter. He's completely losing if you wanted to go for a check, hoping for a perpetual check. Now, so it's not moving the rook and playing a check. And, of course, it's not moving the rook, for example, here, because it doesn't help, because he can just make a queen. And you have to deal with this by sacrificing the rook, takes, you get the king closer, but he makes a queen, and you cannot deal with that as well. So, by the process of elimination, we make sure now that the rook is not helpful in this position. So we should not play an intuitive move like rook g2 because it will lead to a loss. Now of course, we have to move the king. But where should we move the king? If we move the king to a4, for example, okay, he makes a queen, we sack, he takes, we get the king to b3, but then he pushes the pawn to c2, and we cannot deal with that. The pawn is protected, and he's going to make a queen. That's why the best move in this position is to play king b4, and really good job if you manage to find it. Now after king b4, can he make a queen on b1? Because whenever he makes a queen, the point of playing king to b4, because after he makes the queen, we take it, and after he takes, we win this pawn, and we manage to get a draw from this really tricky position. So that's the move. It is king to b4. Now you might say, okay, playing b1, making a queen, it will lead to a draw. What if black decided not to push and make a queen? What if he played king d2, for example? Or king d3, it doesn't matter, the same thing. King d2, it's a blunder. A blunder, and you are winning this game, actually. And no, it is not giving a check, because that's not good. The pawns will push, and you cannot deal with that. You have to play king to b3. King to b3, you are defending the square, so you're not allowing the king to get here to support this pawn. So whenever he pushes this pawn, you can simply take it. Okay, so what if, for example, after king to d2, he played, after king to d2, you played king b3, and then he pushes the pawn here. It doesn't help, because you can win this pawn on b2. He makes a queen, you take with the rook, and this is completely a winning endgame for you. What if he did not play, for example, c2, and he, for example, made a queen? You take it, and then he plays c2, attacking your rook. After he attacks your rook, it's very important not to move the rook anywhere on this diagonal, because he will make a queen, you have to take, and that's going to lead to a draw, but it's actually winning for you, so you were not supposed to go for that. After he attacks the rook, you play rook to b2, pinning the pawn to the king. The king moves in hopes that he's going to get this queen, but then you take here, he moves the rook, and this is a winning endgame. So to sum up this position, you have to play king to b4, to deal with his pawn being pushed. If he blundered and moved the king away, that's going to allow you to get in with the king and potentially win these two pawns. But what if he played king d2 and he played king b3 and he played king d3, for example? Well, after king d3, you can play a check, he attacks you, and you play king c2. You're taking control, you're kicking the king away, and you're defending your rook, because whenever he makes a queen, just don't take with the king, just take with the rook, and he cannot defend the pawn, you will win it. And this is the position. I hope you managed to find the solution for this. It is a quite simple to moderate level endgame, and I really hope that you managed to find it. Tell me in the comments if you managed to find the solution, and was it difficult, or you managed to find it right away. Thank you so much for watching.